Right on time and on the phone, Gary Johnson. Gary, how's it going?
Swami, it's going great. Everything's going great. In town today to do a campus rally, UNM, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, Student Union Building, Ballroom C.
Awesome. So I wonder what. Yeah. I wonder if the what do they call it? The Occupy folks will want to show up down there at UNM like they were about this time last year.
Well, I hope so. I mean, that would be great. We're doing 40 colleges and universities right now. I'm doing 20. Judge Jim Gray, my running mate, is doing 20, and I think this is about number 15.
Right on.
Yeah, so you got a ways to go yet.
Yeah, not too many more to go, and there's just been a lot of interest generated. You know, right now, from a polling standpoint, arguably I'm at 6% nationally, which is about the most underreported 6% of all time and space.
Yeah, because you're not being included on some of these polls they're talking about.
Come on now.
Yeah, no, I'm not, and when I am included, that 6% is showing up. That 5-6% is showing up. And let me ask you the obvious question. Do you hear my name 5 times every time you hear Obama or Romney's name 45 times?
Yeah.
Well, of course, no way. You hear my name 1 time every 5,000 times you hear these guys' names. And if I was being mentioned every 5 times for every time Obama was being mentioned 45, I want to say I wouldn't be at 5. I'd be at 11, 18. I might be the next president of the United States.
Yeah. Now, you obviously watched the debate last week. And even though your name was suspiciously left out, I'm guessing you were on the edge of your seat screaming at the TV wanting to get your say in, right?
Well, we did a Google Live spot and then tweeted the whole debate. And what you didn't hear on stage was, let's not bomb Iran. Let's get out of Afghanistan tomorrow, bring the troops home. I do believe marriage equality is a constitutionally guaranteed right. Let's end the drug war. Let's legalize marijuana now. Repeal the National Defense Authorization Act, which allows for you and I to be arrested and detained as U.S. citizens without being charged. Repeal the Patriot Act. Balance the federal budget. These guys are up there arguing about who's going to spend more money on Medicare.
You're right.
And we have to slash Medicare. And then abolish income when it comes to jobs. Abolish income tax. Abolish corporate tax. Abolish the IRS and replace all of that with one federal consumption tax. In this case, I'm advocating the fair tax. I think that's the answer when it comes to tens of millions of jobs being created in this country by the private sector. And by the way, adopt the fair tax, no more withholdings from your payroll check.
Dude.
Social Security, Medicare, unemployment, that would come out of the proceeds of the fair tax.
And that would mean the tax would come from you just living life, purchasing goods and services.
Purchasing goods and services ends up being cost neutral over a very short amount of time. Let me use a can of Coke as an example.
Okay.
A can of Coke that sells for $1 today has 23% embedded non-transparent tax in it. That's corporate tax that Coke has to pay. That's Social Security match that they have to pay. All that goes away, so Coke doesn't have to sell the can of Coke for $1 anymore to make the same profit. They'll be able to sell it for 80 cents. You apply the 23% consumption tax that I'm talking about, ends up being cost neutral. And for anybody who thinks that Coke will still sell their Coke for $1, well, at least when it comes to Coke, we have free markets. Right. We have very competitive markets when it comes to cola. Not that way at all when it comes to health.
Yeah, now you realize the concepts you're putting out there to most people when they hear that's so radical and that's so mind-boggling and that's so much to get their head around and it's so much change. That most people just
going to reject. And you know what else is it? It's the truth.
Yeah, no,
it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the most wonderful hole card in all of it. Just to be able to play the truth card on all of it.
Right, but how do you convince people? Because like I said, it does on the outside at least. It appears like, man, that's a lot of change to swallow. Most people are just going to reject it just based on that.
Well, and so what's the end result of what we're doing right now, which is borrowing and printing money to the tune of 43 cents out of every dollar that we're spending? Well, it's going to be a monetary collapse. We are not immune from the mathematics of borrowing and printing money to the tune of 43 cents out of every dollar we spend. A monetary collapse, very simply, when all the dollars we have don't buy a thing because of the accompanying inflation that is going to go along with it.
Right.
And by the way, government does not announce a monetary collapse. 2 weeks from Thursday, there's going to be a monetary collapse. So go take all the money you have and buy everything you can, because 2 weeks from Thursday, money won't buy a thing. That's what happens in a monetary collapse. They don't announce it, and guess what? Everybody's caught with their pants down, and if you want to look at a monetary collapse, look at Russia at the end of the 80s, when the ruble went from being worth something one day to being worth nothing the next day. The shelves were bare because everybody figures out money doesn't buy anything, so you rush out and you buy everything you can while it still does buy something.
Let me ask you what you would do for those Americans out there right now, since our current administration and the previous administration kind of changed the rules for lending and borrowing. They say there's money out there, the interest rates are low, but it's really hard for just a regular old family of four to buy a house right now. They can't come up with the capital. They need to get about 20-25% before they're even able to talk to anybody about buying a house. Is that the way to go? Is there need to be that many regulations on people right now, or should it be loosened up a little bit?
Well, by loosened up, the Federal Reserve right now, Treasury is printing money. They're giving that printed money to the Federal Reserve. Yep. The Federal Reserve is giving that money to the banks at 0%.
That's right.
Are the banks loaning the money to you or I? No, they're not. They're buying up treasuries in a closed loop where they can make profits off of you and I without taking any risk whatsoever. This is an inside game. This is absolutely unfair. And this is what's happening in this country. You know, I've said this before when it comes to housing. If they would have if they wouldn't have bailed out anybody when it came to the housing market, we would have seen, in my opinion, a steeper decline. But a whole lot of people would have been able to step in and buy homes that they were never allowed to, because the housing market was never allowed to achieve a real market bottom. And that's what we have today. We don't have we have never established a market bottom. The banks are holding on to all of these repossessions they're on their books, but they're not letting go of them because they can get money at 0% and continue to hold on to them and bleed them off at higher prices. So when it comes to regulation and borrowing, look, that should be up to the financial institutions involved. If they want to loan money based on less down payment, fine. More down payment, but that really isn't regulation. That's market, and that's what should prevail.
Well, people have been told, they might not be able to afford a house, but they try to get into a condo because it's less expensive, and it's a little bit smaller. But then the banks are saying, well, because it's a condo, so many bad things happen with condos, we can't finance that. We can't refi. We can't do anything like that. Even though the money is there, they just can't do it.
Well, and that's the regulations that enter into this that are supposed to help us out, but the reality is they do just the opposite. And that's so much of what government does, the unintended consequence of these rules and regulations that, in my opinion, just add time and money to our lives and don't make anything any better.
Yeah. Now, Gary, I bought my house at the bottom of the market in 2009, all right? And since then, it seems like I've heard whisperings, not even whisperings anymore, people are proclaiming it in a lot of corners, that the house is not the investment it used to be, and therefore, maybe it's not such a good idea to buy anymore because nobody's retaining the value on their homes anymore. I mean, how does that get fixed?
Well, let me give you one bit of advice in all of this, and I think that it's really common sense advice.
Okay.
So if this monetary collapse is looming, here's some real practical advice.
All right.
Whatever you are thinking of buying, so whether that's a house, whether that's an improvement to your house, whether that's a car, you name it, whatever high-ticket item you are contemplating buying, buy it. Because unquestionably, it's going to cost you more tomorrow than it is today. And by tomorrow, months from now, years from now, inflation is going up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's happening.
So buying a house, we have to live somewhere.
Right.
You got to live somewhere. Buying that house today is going to be better than buying that house tomorrow, because tomorrow it's going to cost more And whatever it is we buy tomorrow, it's going to cost more. I mean, a pair of jeans is going to cost more tomorrow. And we're living that. We're all living that right now.
Okay, so as far as one of the topics on the debate that was danced around artfully, by the way, but never really addressed, at least I didn't hear it. You might have to dumb it down for me. But jobs, the creation of jobs. What needs to happen for the creation of jobs? Because that's top of mind with everybody.
Well, so I am screaming when I'm watching this on television. Okay. And the screaming is that both of them seem to be arguing over the fact that, or believing that lower corporate tax rates will result in more jobs. How about taking them away completely? How about abolishing income tax? That's income tax to you and I. And how about abolishing corporate tax? If 28% corporate tax is a great thing for jobs, or 25% corporate tax is a good thing for business, how about zero? And that's what I'm proposing. Eliminate income tax, corporate tax, abolish the IRS, replace all of that with one federal consumption tax. If the private sector doesn't create tens of millions of jobs in a zero corporate tax rate environment, what does it take? And I also see American manufacturing jobs flocking back to the United States, given a zero corporate tax rate environment. That's the answer. And these guys dance at the edges, they nibble at the edges, they talk about more loopholes when the whole system is just rife with crony capitalism. Both parties selling loopholes, individuals, groups, corporations paying for those loopholes. Let's make it a level playing field for everybody and then stand back and watch what I think will be an explosive economy.
You know, the American people have become almost like a battered wife. Like, we've been told how to think and what's right, for so many years that we've kind of shut ourselves into this hole, and we only have a blue or a red answer for everything. And we talked to former Governor Jesse Ventura a while back, who said he was endorsing you, by the way, and was very proud of it. We talked to him, and he said that the only way things are going to change is if we stop eating the food, if we stop voting for Democrats and Republicans.
No, that is exactly right. I mean, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. And they've so morphed into the same. Look, let me offer up a bold prediction here.
All right.
Elect either Obama or Romney, we are going to find ourselves with a heightened police state when we should be reeling back the police state. We're going to find ourselves in a continued state of war. Our military interventions are going to continue. We're going to find ourselves with more enemies to this country than less. And then lastly, crony capitalism is alive and well in this country. I'm going to suggest that either one of them get elected. We're going to find ourselves continuing to borrow and spend money in unsustainable ways. That the day of reckoning is coming closer, and it will be coming closer.
Okay, so then as far as you're talking about the heightened police state and the wars going on, one problem that I foresee overseas is the whole Arab Spring has put some guys in power that we didn't necessarily want in power. And a nuclear Iran is a real worry, because if we just let Israel run unchecked and something starts happening over there like that, I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm just saying that the prevention of Iran getting nukes sounds pretty important to me. So what do you do about that?
Well, so let me just pose this question to you. Did we bomb Russia when they were developing nuclear weapons? Did we bomb China, Pakistan, India? Look, the largest demonstration in the world after 9/11 in support of the United States was in Iran. 1 million Iranian citizens showed up in Tehran to demonstrate in favor of the United States. And we're going to bomb Iran? We bomb Iran, we're going to find ourselves in a 2-year bombing maintenance program of Iran. We're going to kill thousands of innocent civilians.
Hundreds of thousands.
And we're going to find ourselves with another 100 million enemies to this country that we would not otherwise have had. What about the notion of free trade? Isn't that what we did with China? And didn't that result in a safer world? Do you really, and I'm speaking rhetorically here now, Swami, not to you directly, but rhetorically, is China a threat when we're trading with them? Is China a threat when they're borrowing, when they're loaning us our debt? I don't think so. So let's not bomb Iran. And if I were president of the United States, I would urge Israel to not bomb Iran. Here we go again. finding ourselves with all of these enemies that have vowed death, if that's what it takes, to bring about revenge against the United States.
Let me put a scenario before you. Let's say you are the president of the United States, and Iran fires up their centrifuges, and they go live with a reactor, and Israel calls you up and says, Mr. President, the missiles are flying. They're on the way. They're attacking us. Help us. What do you say?
Well, first of all, Israel has 300 nuclear warheads with complete second strike capability.
Right.
So Iran launches a nuclear weapon, they are assured of their destruction. That's just the plain and simple of it. Are they going to do that? I don't think so. The Ayatollahs have said we're not going to develop nuclear weapons. It's Ahmadinejad, and they're all disavowing developing nuclear weapons. I mean, this is a replay of Iraq.